Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 785 for the 18th of April. We're going to start off with some major news with the Russian strike on the Dnipro airport. So according to Ryber, a pro-Russian source reported that 3 MiG-29 that was parked at the Dnipro airport may have been damaged by shrapnels because there was an explosion in the immediate vicinity of the aircraft. So this is one strike that was reported by the Russian side, and this is also geolocated. Actually, there is video footage of it. And another one is just nearby across the Dnipro River. This one is a S-300 air defense system that was destroyed. One launcher and one control cabin was destroyed, and both strikes was actually captured on the drone video. So that's all for this striking that was being reported. Over in the Kherson Front, Russian forces continue to be attacking Krinky. Fighting is still being reported here according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Russian Defense Ministry did not mention Krinky. They mentioned the shelling of Mykolaiivka and Ivanivka. So this is the situation over at this side of the Dnipro River. And I believe there is another strike, yes, over here. So other than the Ivanivka, Mykolaiivka, and there is also strike shelling being reported at Vimivka. So this is the strategic situation over in the Kherson Front. We move into the Zaporizhzhia Front. At the Zaporizhzhia Front, there is only fighting being reported on two different locations, three different locations actually. Russians are attacking Robotine in the northwest of Verbove as well as Melanivka. Ukrainian forces counter-attack towards Verbove. So this is the current strategic situation. So you may not be able to see due to the Russian defense lines that's over here. So this something like this. So this is the current situation over the Zaporizhzhia Front. There's nothing special about the front line around here. Over at the Donetsk Front, so at the Donetsk Front, Russian forces continue their attack over at Staromayoske, Uruzhaine. This time around, they are attacking Voleda as well as Vodian. There is a capture being geolocated as per the frontline changes report near Solotke on the western part. Battle of Novomikhailivka continues. There's fighting reported at Bobeda. There's fighting reported at Georgievka and Krasnohorivka. Ukrainian forces counter-attack over Krasnohorivka. So this is the current strategic situation over in the Donetsk Front. It looks that the main significant difference to the usual is actually this part. Where the fighting reported in the area of Voleda is interesting, as per reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. And the geolocation of the fighting of the Russians attacking westward from Solotke, of course, is something that we will continue to take note. There is a geolocation at Velika Novosilka of Lancet strike of Ukrainian equipments further in the rear. This continues to be the trend, with Ukrainian forces trying to hide equipments in the rear but continue to get hit due to the Russian drones trying to hunt for all these things, and then they sent in the Lancet to destroy. And the Lancet today is a bit different from the Lancet at the beginning of the war. The Lancet today flies very fast. They are X-wing in design, and so a slow surveillance drone can be monitoring where the Ukrainian forces are, where are the equipments. Upon spotting the equipments, a drone can be sent in very quickly, because even for the distance of, let's say, 10 kilometers, you have a drone flying at 100 kilometers per hour like a Lancet. I believe that's around the speed of what is flying, or probably faster. That's merely 6-minute flight. Or lesser than that. Yeah, very, very fast. So anyway, there's nothing in terms of the reporting, in terms of the details of Novomikhailivka, Georgievka, or Boyeda. Over at Krasnohorivka, this is something that I feel that is very important, more significant, but there is also no much report. Russian forces are still over in this southeastern part of this Krasnohorivka. Ukrainian forces are trying to push the Russian forces back. There's no details, so we will definitely have to wait for more information over the next 24 hours. Over at the Avdiivka Front. At the Avdiivka Front, Ukrainian forces seem to have launched counter-offensive operations. This time around, the counter-offensive is a bit more intense. There is counter-attacking the Ukrainian attack at Kalinove, Novobakhmutivka, Badaichi, towards Vodian at Pervomaiske. Russian forces are attacking at Pervomaiske, Netelove, Olivka, Semenivka, Badaichi, Ocheretine, somewhere east of Ocheretine or western part of Novokalinove, as well as Russian attacking at Novokalinove. So the Ukrainian seems to have a bit more offensive operations around this front line. However, it still isn't as much as the Russians push. The Russians still have the main initiative in this region here. There is not much changes around the front lines except over in the in these northern sectors. So Russian forces captured the entire tree line as per report on the frontline changes report, as well as expanding their control over on the eastern part of Novokalinove. This brings the Russians into this advantage about fighting from 3 different directions to attack Novokalinove. Very Russians nowadays, the trend of Russians preferring to attack a settlement from multiple directions, and from 3 different directions. I don't think the Ukrainians will be able to hold this position. I think a withdrawal towards Karamik or towards the stronghold is most likely to happen if the Russians indeed going to go into this attack over the next week or so, or 2 weeks. So we shall see whether the Russians are really going to push so hard. So far, the development of the front line around here is super fast. I got a strong feeling that the Russians are going to push in within a week. So, and the Russians are also pushing into a Ocheretine with a stronghold, or rather a foothold in the southeastern part of Ocheretine. So Ukrainian forces are pushing at Novobakhmutivka. They're trying to cut off this area here, so that the Russians have to withdraw from Ocheretine. So this is currently happening. Ukrainians aren't stupid. They are doing what they can. The Ukrainian counteroffensive over Novokalinove is unclear where the counterattack is, because now the front line is so stretched. It's a bit unclear where the Ukrainians are attacking. So this is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, so we're not sure. They didn't indicate towards which direction. Over at Karamik, there is a Russian airstrike being reported. So Russians are striking with Air Force support. They are attacking the Ukrainian defensive, or probably this is a reserve position. So situation is really bad from in the Novokalinove region. Over at the Badaichi region, there is TOS-1A being reported, being geolocated to be striking Ukrainian positions over in Badaichi, in the central part of Badaichi. This is bad, which means that the Ukrainian forces, after the counterattack, try to hold position. They try to build back this defensive position. But with the arrival of the TOS-1A, the thermobaric MLRS, multiple launch rocket system, this is going to liquidate any defensive position. So there is not going to be any very good defensive position for the Ukrainian side. And if these positions are all getting wiped out by airstrikes and thermobaric missiles, Russian forces are going to just push through easily, like hot knife through butter. So this is going to be bad. So I'm not sure what the Ukrainians can do, because they really don't have the equipment to deal with this kind of situation. The best thing they can do is to use more drones to surveil or to survey the Russian positions in the rear, particularly hunting for the MLRS, especially the TOS-1A, then quickly send in suicide drones to hit it. But it's going to be also difficult, because now the TOS-1A, from my observation of the photos from the front line or videos from the front line, seems to suggest that it is now installed with a new design of cope cage that seems to provide better protection against drones. But of course, we haven't seen a drone hitting such a defense, this new design of the TOS-1A, so we do not know how effective it is, but the Ukrainians will have to try. So the Ukrainians do not have the material advantage. So what they have to do is to strike all these very strategically important equipments. Like TOS-1A is one of those you must take out, because this is the kind of weaponry that will break the front line. So these are if you really want to use the Ukrainian terms that they like to use, the game changing. The TOS-1A is a game-changing kind of weaponry. So you have to take them out. And the Ukrainians will not be able to put much heavy equipment to the front line due to the proliferation of Lancet drones on the Russian side. So the Ukrainians will have to do whatever they can with whatever they have. For the Russians, it's just going to be smooth sailing for them. So over at the New York front, Ukrainian forces counterattack or attack in the New York direction. Russian forces allegedly attacked towards Zalizny. And it's interesting because we did not know of Russian capture of Pidevny or Shumi. So fighting reported at Zalizny is a bit surprise for me. So this is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. Russian Defense Ministry also reported about the Ukrainian attack in the New York region. South of New York, there is an airstrike. So this airstrike is a cluster bomb, so hitting Ukrainian positions over in the southern part in the Avdiivka region. So this is bad. But again, I don't think the Russians will be attacking into New York. This is unlikely. There's no reason to do that. Russian forces can just focus around this area here. So that's all for the New York front. Over in the Bakhmut front, in the southern flank, we have the usual Russian forces attacking Klishevka and Andriivka. Nothing new about this. There's no changes in terms of the front line. Over in the northern flank, or central flank, we can call it the central flank because there is a northern flank now. In the central flank, Russian forces are attacking in the Ivaniske region. They're attacking towards CHASIV at Novi as well as Kreminna. Apparently, the other name for Kreminna is actually Kalinivka. So that's the other name. There's the Russian name for it. So multiple geolocation in this area here. There's no frontline change, except that the Ukrainians seems to be in the southern part of Budanivka. So there is multiple strikes. At Kreminna, there was a FPV drone and artillery strike. Over at Novi, there was a Sukhoi 25 rocket strike. Over at the northern part of CHASIV, there was a, I think, artillery strike. So so all these positions are all getting hit by Russian long-range equipment. So situation is very bad, but it's still going to be a very good defensive position on the strategic sense. If you don't really care about people dying, Ukrainian forces is going to hold this position for a long time. I don't think the Russians are able to defend or rather able to attack through this area here easily. Too much good defensive positions around here. So yeah, as I mentioned before, I don't see a point of Russian forces pushing through this heavily defended or very geographically advantageous positions for the defenders. So yeah, it is what it is. In the northern flank, we have the Russian forces attacking Orikovo-Vasilievka as well as Vasyukivka. So Orikovo-Vasilievka is already second day, so this is getting interesting. At Vasyukivka, this is the first one since January. So we shall see all these actions in the northern flank is starting to look a bit interesting, that maybe the Russians are starting to push. Previously, we have the report about fighting near Blahodatny. So we might be seeing new directions from the Russians, and maybe confirming what I said. It is a bit stupid to go through CHASIV, and maybe this is just to draw Ukrainian resources all the way into CHASIV so that the Russians can strike from another direction. Maybe that's the case. So we move on over in the Siversk Front. Russian forces are attacking at Bilohorivka, Verkhovno-Kanyamsky, and Vimka. There is a geolocation over at Vimka showing that the Ukrainians have some additional position, as per mentioned in the frontline changes report, but nothing very, very significant per se. So this one was previously geolocated as Russian control because of a Russian attack. But with this geolocation of Ukrainian presence in this area here means that the Russian forces have actually withdrew after the failed offensive, or maybe that they succeeded, but they did not want to hold position that far forward from their base. So that could be a possibility, and the Ukrainians retook the position. So we shall continue to wait and see how this progress. We move into the Kreminna Front. The Kreminna Front really have flared up, really flared up. Now we have fighting reported at Krychorivka, over Dibrova, at Torske, over Yampolivka and Terny. Ukrainian forces counterattack over Oni and Terny, and this is looking like the usual situation that we have months ago, where the Russians are still very active over the Kreminna Front. So we shall really watch and see what the Russians are doing. I wonder if this is, as I mentioned about the CHASIV direction, with CHASIV sucking up so much manpower, is allowing the Russians to hit from other front lines. So we shall wait and see how these progress. And we move on from Kreminna into the Svatove Front. At the Svatove Front, we have a geolocation of Ukrainians getting hit over in the area of Stemerkivka, but that also shows that the Ukrainians have retaken some tree lines. Russian forces are attacking in the Novoselivsky region. Very interesting. That the fighting restarted around this area again. However, this is a one-off. We do not know if they will continue to attack there, so it could be a probing attack. We move into also there is over at Borova there was an airstrike on a Ukrainian position just at Borova. Borova is actually a operating base, a command center or HQ for the Ukrainian forces. Is very near to the river. Ukrainian forces can easily reinforce and gather forces at Borova and then send them out in whatever direction that is needed. So this is actually a very strategically important town. So this is where the airstrike landed. And then we move into Kupyansk Front. Over at the Kupyansk Front, there is only fighting being reported at Sinkivka. Everything else went quiet, so there's nothing in the other places. Geolocation just off Stepovo, Novoselivska, show the Ukrainian mortar getting destroyed by Russian artillery, but that's about it. And we move into the border regions. At the border regions, there is just one geolocation of Russian airstrike near Veliki Prokhody. So just a Russian airstrike around here, but that's about it. So that's all for the Kharkiv region, and that's it. So this is the summary for the day of 785 for the 18th of April. Do press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update. Share.